person as well as in a virtual setting using Zoom. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting tonight on Wave Channel 18 and online through the city's YouTube channel. If you would like to participate in live public comment via the Zoom platform, please refer to the agenda for instructions. Chairman Gilbert will begin the meeting momentarily.
I'd like to call to order the September 17th, 2025 City of Lincoln Regular Planning Commission meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Herzog,
Here.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Here.
Commissioner Jackson,
Here.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Manning,
Here.
Vice Chair Johnson,
Here.
and Chairman Gilbert.
Here. We have a full complement of commissioners this evening. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Efron, would you please lead us in the pledge this evening? Thank you. Flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 4, agenda modifications. Do we have any agenda modifications this evening? Thank you. We'll move to item 5, which is public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. All speakers' time will be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by the chairperson. All comments or questions should be addressed to the chairperson, and in most cases, the commission is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not appearing on the posted agenda, but may engage in brief discussion, provide direction to city staff, or schedule items for future meetings. Do we have anyone in public that would like to speak?
I don't see any hands raised in Zoom, and I do have one public card. If I can call Kathy Carpenter up.
Thank you.
I'm not even sure if I'm in the right place, but I live in Lincoln Hills. I live on Topanga Lane, which is a very small lane that is built on a ravine. At the end of the ravine is Oak Tree Lane. Do you know where that is? And on the other side of Oak Tree Lane is the new 233 home Hidden Hills development. Hidden Hills has put in 4 huge drain pipes into our ravine. Their development's going to be a little bit higher, so all of their streets and roads and rain and everything is going to now drain into the ravine that I live on. The water can get quite high in the ravine, and no one's been able to tell me how much higher it's going to get with 233 homes now draining into our ravine. So I have a couple questions. One is, did Hidden Hills have an easement to build on our property, on Lincoln Hills property? Because the pipes are on our property. Do you want to see a picture? No. Anyway, the drain pipes are on Lincoln Hills property. So I want to know if they had an easement. And I've lived in my home for 20 years. I'm the original owner. And I have not ever received any notification of the increase in water or that Hidden Hills was going to do this, or, so am I in the right place to ask these questions?
Of course, you're in the right place. This is your
Okay.
city, so
Okay.
you're always in the right place.
Okay, so I just kind of want to know what happened here. Because my house, the 10 houses on Topanga Lane that are affected, you know, are we going to get flooded? Are we now going to be considered in a floodplain? Is our insurance rates going to go up? I mean, we have lots of questions. And Lincoln Hills is an 55 and up community, and not all my neighbors are able to come here and advocate for Topanga Lane, so it's me. So,
If I may, Chairman Gilbert, we'll be happy to take her contact information off of her card, and I'll have the city engineer, Vin Kay, reach out to her. But I would just briefly add that those drain pipes are not for the water coming from the houses, that they are connected to the water sewer system like every house.
Mhm.
So the drain pipes are merely for rainwater, the rain that was coming already, just to provide it in, yeah,
the rain-
exactly.
The rain pipe before was this
Right, but
big.
now it has to be, because of the construction, it has to be
It's
bigger.
because of the development.
So,
It
but
was this big before.
I will have give your information to the city engineer and have him connect with you.
We reached out to the city engineer and he wouldn't talk to us.
Okay, well, I will speak to him,
Thank you.
no problem.
Appreciate it.
I want you to understand that if any reason you don't get answers, please contact me and we'll see that you do get the answers. But it would be the city engineer who would be able to address those issues. There's a little engineering background here, but we're not in a position to answer that this evening. You're welcome. Thank you.
And I have a question on this. Is tonight's 9A, the Parkwood tentative subdivision that is agendized, would that have any relation to her concern? That we can maybe, because then it would open us up to address a little bit more. That's in the same area. Is that part of the same Hidden Hills?
No, what she's referring to is not connected to this particular map, yeah.
It's not downstream or anything?
Pull up the map to look at that specifically, but a different item, right, than what we're going to be talking about this evening.
Good thought, Tony, but thank you. Okay, we have no more public comments. We'll move to item 6, informational items from staff. You have any this evening? I see all the heads shaking sideways. We'll move on to item 7, which is disclosure of ex parte communications. Starting at this end, do any of my commissioners have any items to report?
No, I do not, Chairman.
I just had an email exchange with John Jewett regarding the Parkside issue, and it was just strictly a nicety exchange.
Thank you. Tony?
Chairman, I'm sorry. I did have one thing that a neighbor did ask me to bring up. I'm sorry. But, there is a turn lane on Nicholas Road that is there with Nicholas and Ferrari Ranch. And it is a brand-new kind of turn lane that is there on the corner if you're going towards Gliding McBean. So you're going to be going that direction. And it's very confusing because there is like almost a hump that has been painted on the street and with some slashes through it. And anyway, they were just wondering why that is that way, because it's a little bit confusing. You have to get almost right on top of the intersection before you really merge over to the right to turn right.
Commissioner Jackson, ex parte communications at this point really relate to agenda items.
Okay, then my apologies.
That's okay, but if you do have questions that come up to you from the public, I would greatly encourage you to reach out to either engineering or community development.
Very good. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Mhm.
Tony?
I did not have any ex parte communication, but I did want to apologize. I did have John Jewett reach out to me and had every intention to get back to him, but I started my research and then my week got ahead of me, and literally walking in here, I went, oh man, I never got back. So if he's here tonight, I apologize. Yeah, thank you.
I did have a brief telephone conversation with, or was it an email exchange, I forget, with John Jewett. I was under the mistaken impression that the developer in this Parkwood was Century Homes, and he straightened me out. It is both, Taylor Builders are both developer and the builder. Now I'm a little smarter.
I do not have any.
And I did not have any. That'll end that agenda item. Number 8 is consent agenda. All matters on the consent agenda are considered routine business and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a request to remove a specific item for separate action is received. Any items removed will be considered after the remainder of the consent calendar. Do any of my colleagues wish to remove an item from the consent agenda at this time? If not, may I please have a motion and a second?
I move approval to approve the August 20th, 2025 minutes.
Thank you.
Second the motion.
And we have a second. The roll call on this? Gary? No. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0-0. Item 8A, review and approve the August 20th minutes we've done. And we'll move now to item 9A, Parkwood tentative subdivision map. We have a staff report. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman. Let me just pull up my presentation for you all. All right. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Michaela Noble, Associate Planner with the Community Development Department. The project we have before you tonight is the Parkwood project. This presentation is just a general overview of the project. More detailed project information was provided and included in the staff report. Tonight, we'll discuss the following items pertaining to the Parkwood project: the requested entitlements, project components, staff findings, environmental determination, and staff recommendations. The applicant, Gen California 28 LLC, is requesting to approve a small lot tentative subdivision map and to certify an addendum to the Village 1 Specific Plan Environmental Impact Report, referred to as an EIR. The proposed project consists of approximately 21 acres within the Village 1 Specific Plan area, as highlighted in red on the screen. The project site is located in the southwestern portion of Village 1, immediately north of Oak Tree Lane and east of the regional park site. Other approved Village 1 projects include Esplanade at Turkey Creek, Auburn Ravine Estates, Turkey Creek Estates, the Waterfront, Hidden Hills, Heartland at Hidden Hills, Stardust, and most recently, the Level Ranch project. Here is the proposed small lot tentative subdivision map for the Parkwood project, which is included in your staff report. The map features 122 residential lots, 2 park lots, and 4 landscape lots. All of the residential units would be constructed as Village Medium Density Residential, referred to as VMDR. These lots would range from approximately 3,200 to 8,900 square feet, with an average lot size of approximately 4,200 square feet. The project satisfies the city's minimum lot size and typical setback requirements typical for the VMDR development. The Lot B Park, which is located in the northwestern portion of the site, will eventually become part of the regional park. No improvements to this park lot are being proposed by this project. Any improvements would be done as part of the regional park site development. A portion of Silverado Trail, which is planned to provide access to the future regional park will be constructed to provide primary access to the Parkwood development. This will be an off-site improvement negotiated with the property owner of that parcel. Oak Tree Lane, which borders the southern boundary of the project site, will provide a secondary access point. An additional access point would be provided in the northwestern portion of the project site, here. Connecting to future development to the east, there is an alternative included within this map that does not include that connection depending on the development on that eastern portion. In summary, the proposed project provides for 122 VMDR units. The project includes 4.2 acres of parks, including the regional park site. The applicant intends to transfer some unit density from the project site to a parcel known as Stardust 12 under the same ownership, and that's located within the Village 1 specific area in the east. The density transfer is not one of the approvals for this project, and Parkwood's development is not contingent on that unit transfer. Even with the density transfer, the density of the Parkwood project as proposed would remain consistent with the density allowed under the VMDR designation. The city would consider approval of the density transfer as part of the Stardust 12 project, which we are not considering tonight. As illustrated by the table above, the acreage for each land use would vary slightly from the approved specific plan. There'd be a reduction in the acreage in VMDR and a corresponding increase in the designated parkland. Staff analyzed the proposed entitlement requests and it concluded that they're consistent with the goals, policies, and intent of the city's general plan, the Village 1 specific plan and general development plan, and the city's subdivision ordinance. City staff has prepared draft conditions of approval for the small lot tentative subdivision map to ensure orderly and timely implementation of the project. Standard and project-specific conditions have been applied. The conditions of approval also include all applicable mitigation measures that are found in the Village 1 specific plan EIR. All conditions will be subject to verification of compliance by city departments, and the applicant has reviewed and agreed to the proposed conditions. As required by the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, city staff and consultants reviewed the proposed project to see if the development would increase the severity of any impacts identified in the Village 1 EIR or create any new significant impacts. Because the Parkwood project would not increase the population of the specific plan beyond the levels identified in the adopted EIR and specific plan, impacts in areas related to population growth would essentially be unchanged. The Parkwood parcel was assumed to be developed with the certified EIR, so impacts associated with ground disturbance would remain unchanged. Furthermore, the Parkwood project will need to implement all applicable EIR mitigation measures, which are included in the mitigation monitoring report. All of this is documented within the addendum that was included as part of the staff report. Because the project would not create any new significant impacts or make any impacts more severe, we concluded that the Village 1 EIR adequately addresses the impacts of the Parkwood project. Lastly, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution recommending City Council adopt the proposed addendum to the certified 2012 Village 1 specific plan EIR and adopt a resolution recommending City Council approve the small lot tentative subdivision map for the Parkwood project. There have been no formal public comments provided as part of the project. Tonight in the audience, we have Adrienne Graham, our environmental consultant, here to help with any CEQA questions, as well as several members of the applicant team here to answer some questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on, Guy, will you please feel free to give my contact information to your neighbor so that if she needs to follow up,
Yes, I can do
I'm
that.
going to give her my card, but you can give her the information. Okay. Thank you. We have any questions at this moment from the commission for staff? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks. Just a general question. Do we have kind of an idea of a timeline? I'm just looking at the map the Silverado Trail kind of goes from south to north and then kind of dead ends, not going up to the regional park, but then instead, like, you'd have to go through Court B or Court C, kind of around through the homes. I don't know, is there like a timeline or anything, I guess a couple of questions for Silverado Trail to go up to the regional park? And then and also, when will the regional park be developed? I'm just looking at it, if the park's developed, but there's not good access except going through homes, just kind of what that looks like.
So overall, I can give you a concept of the regional park. It's included within the specific plan in GDP. I'm more than happy to share that at another time. The goal is for this road to extend and eventually go into a larger parking lot that would serve the regional park. So the goal, not at all, is to have this be the primary access to the regional park. Just the parcel that this is on is owned by a private development to where they will be dedicating that lot to the city for us to develop for the future. So as is, it's essentially going to remain untouched, dedicated to the city for now. So we're not activating that regional park yet. As for the timeline of developing the regional park, I will toss that to Nita.
We're just waiting over here. Yeah. So there is not a time certain for that regional park development. As more projects, because in part because Village One is not under a master developer, because there are so many different developers involved with the different areas, that it is hard for us to nail down, this is when this will happen, or this is what will trigger that development of the park.
I guess, yeah, to follow up with that, I guess it's, what I'm hearing is, it won't be developed right away, but when it is, there will be access
Yeah,
considerations to
correct.
handle that. Okay.
Yes.
Follow-up question on that. And with the park, are we,
Are you finished?
I'm finished, yeah.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry. Is that Lot A and Lot B that we're talking about in this, or is that?
So Lot A is the regional park area that's dedicated to that. Lot A is the neighborhood park as part of the Parkwood project. So that will be developed into a small park site.
So A will be developed,
Yes.
but B will be developed in the future?
Correct.
What money? City money?
All those are good questions for the future.
Can we talk about it tonight, or do we have to talk about it in the future?
Well, that is not what we're discussing tonight. What we're discussing in this item is the subdivision map for the Parkwood project.
But it's part of the map.
But the park is not part of this particular project here.
Okay, but parks in our city are a concern.
They are, yes.
So it's great that we get land, but if we can never develop them because we don't have a funding way to do it,
Mhm.
that should be something on the table to discuss.
And we can agendize that if you would like, or if you would like to attend the Park Commission meetings where we discuss those items. But this item tonight is for this subdivision map.
That parcel is also part of a larger regional park that will require consideration in future maps.
Yep.
This is sort of, sort of in that same bailiwick, but Michaela, could you put up the tentative subdivision map up there?
Our IT department can put up the tentative, there we go. I was like, it's on my screen, but I did not see that. You could not see it.
Okay, all right. I draw your attention to Silverado Trail as it takes the sweeping turn to the left. Notice before that, there's a nice area for future landscaping that would, this is not my favorite way of designing a neighborhood, because all that people are going to see on Silverado Trail is some ugly fencing or attractive fencing, depending on your perspective, I guess. But, there's no eyes on the street, so it's inherently unsafe to have that kind of development. But at least in the first block, you've got significant room for landscaping that you can at least make it attractive. And I'd point out another bad example, and that's at Nicholas north of Joyner, where there's virtually no landscaping and a hideous wall right next to the driving surface. And I'm afraid you're going to have the same thing here. Are we early enough in the process that we can maintain significant landscaping at Silverado after it takes that turn?
So what's proposed on the street section, you can see that it's a detached sidewalk. So there is one strip of landscaping that will be adjacent to the road, the sidewalk, as well as more landscaping adjacent to the wall. So there will be room for trees to essentially block out, in your terms, the hideous wall or fence, to kind of mitigate that to a certain degree, but the landscaping plans are not provided as part of this approval. It'll be done at the improvement plan stage. And with what's provided, they are consistent with the Silverado Trail cross-section that was approved as part of the specific plan and general development plan.
So
If
in
I could
ess-
summarize what you're
essence-
saying
oh,
is that
I was just gonna say
there's
we're in
no
time.
opportunity to get additional right-of-way for that landscaping strip.
I wouldn't,
No, there's not space for additional right-of-way, but there is the opportunity, which is, I think, what you were asking, to ensure that landscaping would occur, and that would be at the improvement plans. And since the developer is here, he has heard your wants and needs as well, and, they have proven to be a responsive developer to those things.
I agree with that part. Okay.
Okay, is there any, go ahead, please.
So I do have a question on the park, and I'm talking not about the park Lot B, but Lot A.
Mhm.
Lot A and Lot B are put right together. Why isn't it more towards the bottom of the subdivision here, that, the other park? So I'm looking at Street B, Street D, kind of in the D area. Why wasn't the park kind of wanting to be there so you can kind of split up the parks a little bit more?
I'll defer to the applicant on kind of their design considerations and thought process of why they chose to put the park there.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, I will now open the public hearing. Citizens wishing to speak on this item may request to speak by raising your hand when requested to do so. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Secretary, do we have any hands raised online or in the chambers? Public
Chairman-
hearing's open.
Chairman Gilbert, I do not see any hands raised on Zoom. I did not receive any cards, and I do not see any hands raised here in chambers.
We want to give the applicant an opportunity to speak at this time while the public hearing is open. I don't see anybody. There we go.
There you go. Gentlemen, are you able to answer?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Vance Jones. I'm an urban planner with Wood Rogers, representing the applicant here this evening. We've got a team here, the representative for the property owner, as well as our engineering staff as well, to address any technical questions that the commission may have. We're just thrilled to be here at the finish line. Highly commend staff's effort in helping us navigate this process. It's been very, very smooth. We open to any questions. If you'd like, I can address the question that came up about the location of the park site, if you'd like.
Please.
Okay. Do you want to put the map back up? Is that possible?
IT,
There you
there we
Oh,
go.
there we go. So we spent a fair amount of time, the applicant team spent a fair amount of time walking the site. And the reason why we chose to shift the park a little bit to the northwest from where it's shown in the specific plan, land use plan, is due to the natural features that exist on the site right there. There's a little bit of topography, there's some rock outcroppings, a lot of nice oak trees. And frankly, we thought the space lent itself very, very well for a park-like environment. We also liked actually adjoining it with the portion that would ultimately become a regional park, because we just thought that was good interface there to put a more developed recreational amenity with a future regional park to come. So there was nothing more driving it other than we just thought it was a very, very thoughtful use of the land.
So what percentage are we at right now for open space in the subdivision?
So there's no open space provided with this subdivision, but the Village One specific plan requirement requires 40% for the plan area total, and that's well established.
Established?
yes.
Okay, that's good to know. But I still have a problem with the park being all the way to the northwest and not having a part of a park, or at least a smaller park for these residents that is a little bit more down. I mean, there's 12, I think there's 12 parcels, there's 12 lots with between Street B, Street D. I mean, is there a way possibly that we could add a little bit more to this? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because, I mean, residents don't want to go a long ways to go to a park. I mean, this would be only a few blocks, I know that. But at the same time, you know, from a neighborhood perspective, I think that it would be a better selling point if you had actually a park that is down below as well.
So the original park location was located, I can actually bring up the map in 1 minute. Switching screens, perfect.
And please understand that I like the idea of open terrain, oak trees, you know, boulders and rocks and everything else from a topography perspective. But I also, you know, if you look at a lot of the different subdivisions that we have, especially the newer ones around town, parks usually are a lot closer together. And so to me, this one is a little bit farther away.
So the original contemplation was essentially to still have that park in the northern portion of the site. So it was never contemplated to be near Oak Tree Lane, and I think part of that is being to stay away from Oak Tree Lane and the potential noise of that main roadway. It could have been a consideration at the design phase, but as our staff, we receive applications and take them for what they are. We do not design the applicant's project. The specific plan allows for minor changes in the kind of the land use location, so we're not opposed to where the location was. We didn't see it being an issue, but I do understand your comment, and I totally understand where you're coming from, but this is what's proposed. So at this point, the plan is well-baked. If you wanted to request the change in the park location, we'd essentially have to push the item and do a redesign.
No, I don't think I'm actually pushing for that. What I'm actually doing is saying, could we add more? But I understand there's a cost to that too.
And they did add more park acreage in total. They did add, they added 1.4 acres, which I think they increased their park acreage by 80%. This is only a 21 acre site, so that is a big increase compared to the project we processed a couple months back, which that was probably closer to 200 acres to where there's more given that. But they did increase the park acreage with their proposal.
And Commissioner Jackson, I would also, another point of consideration is that this is a medium density project as opposed to a high density project, which is where you tend to see in development more of the smaller parks dispersed amongst the development. And so this is not inconsistent with design standards for medium density development.
Yep, I appreciate you listening to my concerns, and I put it on record. There you go.
John Jewett, Taylor Builders, thank you guys for everything. Just wanted to add that Century does have a park at Oak Tree Lane that's open to the public that residents in the southern portion of Parkwood would be able to access. So that was a consideration in addition to trying to honor to the greatest extent possible the land use laid out in the specific plan. Thanks.
Any other comments from?
This is a question to the applicant, Mr. Jones, perhaps. Michaela, could you have the site brought up again? There you go. Oh, no.
The map?
Yeah, the subdivision. There you go.
Perfect.
The, I'm like a dog with a bone, I guess, and I'm still concerned about that wall along
Silverado Trail?
Silverado Trail, yes. Mr. Jones, are you familiar with the concept of Grand Boulevard? A Grand Boulevard.
Grand Boulevard, the Champs-Élysées is what comes to mind, but,
Perfect. Yeah,
sure.
I was thinking of something a little smaller scale. But I think you had an opportunity, I'm sure we can pursue it tonight, but I'm curious why it wasn't considered to have the single-loaded housing along Silverado, face Silverado, and have the ugly wall on the other side. And you obviously need a larger front yard than maybe you have here, but it would certainly make a more attractive neighborhood that way.
I think, well, first and foremost, that particular segment of Silverado Trail that's proposed is technically an off-site improvement for this project. And so there is some work that the applicant team needs to do to help secure the proper right-of-way to actually build that road to provide access. Secondly, we were working within the actual boundaries of the property itself, which is why the subdivision was laid out the way it was. I hear your concern. The piece that would actually make me more concerned is that in a future state, when that regional park is developed, the amount of cars going up and down the street, accessing the park during peak times, in my opinion, doesn't make for a very livable environment for homes that might be fronting a street like that. When you
Well, it
think
has to
about-
be, they have to be set back a extra amount, that's for sure.
It's something.
But
that
the
we-
landscaping itself would be a screening and softening and quieting
Sure. And
mechanism.
just something that we consider when we're laying a subdivision out like this or designing any neighborhood is just that movement of cars getting in and out of their driveway and people accessing street parking and just access to the homes themselves. It's just something that we consider in this particular instance not to be as a nice livable environment as providing those front doors internal to the neighborhood itself where traffic volumes are a little bit more predictable.
Yeah, I'm sure we can all give instances where very nice homes surrounding a park do quite well, both in the real estate market and just aesthetically. All right, I'll drop the bone.
Have anything else, Jerry?
What's that? Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, thanks. I'm done.
Okay. Or
Yeah.
Do you have something else, Tom? Go
I
ahead.
do, and I think I was waiting to ask the developer, but I think actually, Michaela, probably is for you. I do have a
Tony,
question.
I'll ask you to get a little closer to your.
You got it.
microphone.
I'll bring the mic closer to
Thank
me. The population level, this was in the staff report, around the 2.8 people per home, and that it fit the Village One standard. So, and standard may not be the right word, but can you just explain that a little bit more?
The population ratio?
Yeah.
Yeah, so within the Village One specific plan, there's a set population ratio that's been assigned for low-density residential, medium-density residential, and high-density residential. Going off the top of my head of what the exact numbers are, but low density, I think, is around 3.6 persons per household. Medium density is the 2.8, and the high density, I want to say, is 1.8. It's somewhere in that ballpark figure. So depending on the density, it's essentially an average estimation of what the ratio of people per household that's in. Per the specific plan and the general plan, we have standards of how many per every 1,000 residents, you need 3 acres of park site. You need 3 acres of open space and 3 acres of the community park site as well. So for this project, there is a bit of a reduction in that 3 acres for the neighborhood parks because they provided an excess amount of open space. So in the documents, it is outlined that it's a requirement of 2.43 acres per every 1,000 residents. So that changes the calculation a bit to where the open space requirement and the community park acreage required for the project is about 1.2, 1.3 acres. But for the neighborhood park with that reduction, it's approximately 0.83 acres.
But they meet that, right?
Correct. They
Yeah,
do
they
meet
meet
that.
I guess my question was around, is the 2.8 just a fixed, this development doesn't change that number because this development, we're changing the density of the development, correct?
It's
From
still
the
within.
original.
It's still within the MDR range, so we're not rezoning, not doing anything, but they are developing at a lesser amount than what was anticipated in the specific plan unit count.
Okay.
But no, it does, that 2.8 figure does not change per development. It's standard across the,
Standard assumption.
yes.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Excuse me. Has to be recorded. Thank you.
My apologies. And that calculation's based on unit count. So if you have a denser project on the higher end of the MDR, you would have a bigger obligation for park. So it's less about zoning and more about how many units are going into that actual development.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I think we're, just a moment, please. I'll recognize. I think we're finished here. I'm going to close the public hearing. Oh, excuse me. I thought we had,
I don't have any more hands raised on Zoom. But I did not receive any other cards, but I do see Ms. Green's hand raised right now.
please.
Thank you. I didn't hear you hit the gavel, so I thought we were still in the public hearing. I'm coming uninformed on this. I do know Village 7's coming, but as I hear you guys discuss this conversation and look at the developer, there's just one thing I thought of and I want to share as you guys continue to bring in development. But thinking about a puzzle and a puzzle piece, I heard one of the developers mention, or the planners, whatever their title is, that it kind of ties into something else. And so as we look at the overall village that I saw Michaela put up there, and this is one piece, 21 acres of that overall, I just want to know that those developers are seeing the overall picture and that we do have good synergy that's forming between all the different developments individually. I'm not sure if that's something is seen or how that's looked at, but maybe this park goes to other ones. But I'll try to catch up a little bit on those, but I just want to make sure that as these puzzle pieces get put together, that the reds match the reds and the yellows match the yellows, and that overall the synergy looks really well. So just a comment on that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public would like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Does anyone have any additional comments or questions from staff at this point, or comments you want to make about the project before we consider a motion?
Chairman, if you don't mind me
Please.
commenting or responding to Ms. Greenhouse's question or inquiry. Village 1, like was mentioned earlier, is owned by multiple property owners. So there are multiple people building these main roadways where coordination is not desired, it's required. Even tonight, we do have a couple of the developers here. Tony Frazier is not a part of this project, but he is here, wanting to learn about it, and there is ongoing coordination between all projects. So it is a complicated puzzle, but we do make it work and we do coordinate across the board.
Thank you for your comments. Chair will entertain a motion. I'll jump in.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we recommend to City Council that they adopt the proposed addendum to certified 2012 Village 1 Specific Plan EIR report pursuant to CEQA guidelines, and approve a resolution recommending the City Council approve a small lot tentative subdivision map for the proposed Parkwood project.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Herzog,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Manning,
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson,
Yes.
and Chairman Gilbert.
Yes, motion passes 7-0-0. Thank you all for your input on that item, both in the public and from staff and my colleagues. Item 10, general business. There is one item, 10A.
Chairman,
Yeah.
did we do both of those? Okay, thank you, okay.
10A, downtown master plan update. Staff recommendation, please.
Sorry. Good evening, Planning Commission. Efren Sanchez, Senior Planner with Community Development Department. Staff would like to provide you with an update on the Downtown Master Plan project, as it's been a couple of months since you received an update on this project. The purpose of the Downtown Master Plan and Objective Design and Development Standards is to provide the tools to transform downtown into a recognizable center and vibrant destination for both residents and visitors, facilitate mixed-use infill housing, and expand affordable housing opportunities. The image you see on the slide is the project boundary for the Downtown Master Plan. The Downtown Master Plan and ODDS project is designed to facilitate meaningful community engagement. Outreach activities ensure that community input shapes the vision and outcomes for downtown. For example, last fall we had community workshops, and this past spring we had a charrette event. Updating the vision for downtown, removing zoning barriers so downtown can thrive. The Objective Design and Development Standards, or ODDS for short, will encourage diverse housing opportunities, streamline approvals, and support a dynamic mix of residential, commercial, and public spaces. Also, explore financing options which are currently being analyzed. You may be wondering, why not a specific plan? Flexibility. While both a master plan and specific plan set a vision and policy framework, a master plan can be updated more efficiently as community needs evolve. Predictability and clarity. Master plan establishes clear intended outcomes, cost, and time efficiency. Developing a master plan with ODDS is typically faster and less expensive than preparing a specific plan, which requires detailed land use analysis, infrastructure planning, and more extensive environmental review. Streamline approvals. ODDS simplifies the approval process, and with its form-based approach, ensures predictable design outcomes. Why a form-based approach? A form-based approach to the ODDS establishes clear, measurable standards that provide predictability for both developers and the community. Development becomes more predictable because it is guided by the built form of buildings rather than the separation of land uses. Form-based ODDS emphasize the relationship between buildings, streets, and public spaces, supporting high-quality projects. They encourage mixed-use blocks and neighborhoods instead of segregating land uses into traditional zoning districts. The result is more walkable, attractive, and cohesive neighborhoods rather than fragmented patchworks of land uses. As opposed to our current Euclidean Title 18 zoning code, form-based ODDS supports mixed use and walkability by encouraging a blend of housing, retail, offices, and civic spaces within close proximity to each other, unlike traditional zoning. It provides building form standards such as height, setbacks, and footprint to shape the intended physical form of the development. It promotes smooth transitions between private and public spaces through architectural features like porches, terraces, forecourts, stoops, shop fronts, galleries, and arcades. It ensures projects meet the objective standards, it ensures that projects meeting the objective standards qualify for a ministerial non-discretionary approval, and therefore streamlining this process. Helps the city comply with state mandates that require faster approval processes for certain housing projects. As part of form-based ODDS, development can be regulated through building types, architectural styles, sustainability standards, or signage standards. The more of these components included, the greater the predictability and implementation. At this stage, staff is considering inclusion of building type standards. By including building type standards, form-based ODDS can allow for a range of housing scale buildings such as single-family homes, duplexes, fourplexes, cottages, pocket neighborhoods, all within the same area. This approach supports a variety of unit sizes, price points, and open space arrangements. In contrast, density-based regulations often limit this diversity of building types within a particular neighborhood. Each building type can have its own set of standards, such as the number of units in a building, the height of a building, footprint, shape of the building, the entry location, and how pedestrians access the building, vehicle access and parking, and also open space. Of course, regulating by building types can have both pros and cons. Pros, it can incentivize a wider range of housing options that better fit the neighborhood. Cons, some developers may view it as too complex or inflexible. Overall, when applied thoughtfully, building types can provide greater diversity in unit sizes, experiences, and price points, while also enhancing neighborhood character. At this stage, staff is considering adding building type standards to the form-based odds and welcomes your feedback. Question, should building type standards be included in the objective design and development standards? That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, also we have Opticals on the line, Cecilia Kim, who can answer any questions you might have about the downtown master plan.
Thank you, Eva. Questions from commission? Like you did a terrific job.
Chairman Gilbert, sorry, excuse me, I did receive a speaker card on this item.
Sure. Let's recognize them, please.
Sella Greenhouse, if you can step up.
Hi, I'm a little bit more informed about this project, and I'm glad to see us continuing to move it forward. What was interesting to me in the presentation from our planning department was it talked about the con of developers being up to the challenge or being more inflexible for them, but I think we have some pretty robust developers, so hopefully they're willing to step up and come up with some good ideas and designs. What was really another thing is it just talked about removing zoning barriers. And one of the things that I heard at an economic development committee meeting was that we have challenges with parking and at city council meetings, challenges with parking in downtown. And so one of the things that as we come up with our downtown master plan, I want to make sure that we're taking thoughts of that. One thing I threw on the, I guess, the brainstorming board at the economic development committee meeting was, can some of these residentials turn into pay lots where you have maybe 10 to 15 spots there? And what kind of ideas that we're coming up with that. So, and I think the question ended in his presentation was, should building types be included into the master plan? And there was like 8, 10 options that were up there that, that seemed all wonderful. And then my biggest key takeaway from the design charrette was this alley idea. I don't know if it's part of building types, but if you've ever been to England and gone to Piccadilly Street or seen some of these alleyways which make merchants, there was this wonderful design that Cecilia had explained to me that talked about turning one of our alleyways into like a merchant section. And so reviving alleyways. And so I really liked that design that they had come forward with. So just a few comments that I have there, and thank you for the time.
Do you have anyone else?
I have no other cards.
Good. We'll move on then to item 11, CDD Director Reports. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So we don't, well, besides
I'm
being-
sorry, Efren, did you have a question about 10A?
Yeah, so essentially, you know, I described for you guys the building type standards and how the objective design standards, we're trying to incorporate those building type standards as part of the odds. So we kind of wanted your guys' feedback if you guys agree with that. I mean, it is our recommendation, but it's kind of more like we still want to hear your guys' input on that.
Requesting direction.
Yes.
Back.
Yeah.
Anybody have? Bree, please.
Are we limiting the building types to those 10?
No, not necessarily. It's just more like, for example, if a developer wants to develop a duplex on a lot, we already have, then we'll be able to have actually objective design standards for what that form of that duplex should look like.
If someone came up with something that didn't fit in one of those 10 categories, could they still go ahead with it?
Yeah, they could still go with it, but it wouldn't be streamlined. So essentially, they would have to submit a separate design review process and go through that process instead of going through the streamlined process that the odds would provide.
I think we're all for the streamlined process. And if it's not overly restrictive, I don't see the harm in it.
Well, and Chair, I think they're looking for direction generally if you're intrigued by this streamlining project. We're not limited right now tonight by the 10 concepts. This is just conceptual. But if you're intrigued by by this whole concept, then we can come back with
And we
our
will-
consultants with more.
Right, and we will have more opportunity for outreach and input with the community. In fact, we're working on engaging an additional consultant for more outreach process to get more opinions and input into this.
Chairman, I have some thoughts.
Just a moment. All right. Can you finish here? Please.
Thank you. I'm familiar with streamlining. The concern I would have is eliminating public comment opportunity. And so what would public comment look like in a streamlined project?
Ministerial. So it would just be a ministerial process,
That-
essentially.
That's usually a concern that I have when there's a streamlined project and there's less public input and less of an opportunity to speak into it. And I want to make sure everyone's aware of that. And, you know, I like the public involved. I enjoy hearing from the public and their perspective. But if we have some real clear objectives and the public gets to speak into those objectives that we decide on, then that makes a lot of sense. We want to make sure that everyone's aware of that.
And that's one of the reasons that we are doing additional outreach and engaging in that longer outreach program. So, you know, we could say we're done, you know, we've done some outreach, you know, we've checked that box, right? And now we're moving on. But instead, we really want to make sure that we have an opportunity for all the members of our community to provide input into this process. And once we get that kind of consensus of what this should look like and what these categories are that can be streamlined, and like Efren said, it doesn't stop someone from coming forward with a triplex or some other thing that ends it one of these categories. And that would go through the regular process. It would have public input, it would have the hearings, it would have all the design review, et cetera, right? But if the community agrees to these streamlined categories, that we're essentially getting that public input at the beginning.
Or proactive approach.
I think an appropriate comment at this time is that there's a very major move at the state level to take action so that we can build housing much more efficiently and quicker than we ever had in the past. In fact, there was a lot of discussion last Friday. I haven't had an opportunity to see what they came up with yet, but I think the mood is that, you know, we get interest rates down a little bit and we can get the whole process, you know, where people feel comfortable about buying a home. We could see a little mini boom go on in California because there's certainly pent up demand. And so with that possibly being on the horizon, it would be great if we could position ourselves as a city to really have an inviting environment for developers and builders in our community. Keep our staff busy, but that's okay. We like being busy.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I just wanted to add, like, you know, form-based odds, like, it's something that's kind of, you know, universal throughout California. There's a lot of different jurisdictions that have already implemented their own objective design development standards. You have like Marin County and its cities, Santa Barbara, Los Altos, Carlsbad, Fremont, Davis, San Rafael, Modesto, Folsom. They've all kind of like already like, you know, hopped on this trend to do objective design development standards.
I would agree with what you're saying about just the idea of streamlining. I know that I personally developed a piece of property in one of our neighboring cities, and just the time and the money that really, I mean, it's literally like you're just throwing it away. You don't get anything for it, right? It's just money you have to spend just to get the shovel in the ground. I think it's ridiculous. I think our cities create a lot of roadblocks with the things we do in our state, with a lot of the laws we have. And the other big issue is just the interpretation of those laws from one to the other. I know we've got developers here tonight. They're probably singing my praise right now over this, but you know, you go from one interpretation of it to the next as you deal with different people. And it just takes forever. And the amount of money it costs is incredible. Anything we can do to help that, but still get quality. And I think that's the secret, or that's what we got to do. So I'm on board with it. Keep thinking like that.
Excellent.
Comments?
I think staff has its direction.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. So coming up at future council meetings, just so that this commission is aware, we'll be bringing forward the building code at our next council meeting. And previously we provided a presentation from Opticos on the code design and analysis, and we'll be bringing that forward to council. And if council agrees, then we'll be moving forward that project of, again, just reforming the code so that it is a bit easier to use, right? Not changing anything. In addition to that, we have, as Efren has alluded to, this very large administrative project of doing the downtown master plan and the code update. So besides the numerous projects which you have in the planning tracker in front of you, that staff is very busy with just trying to ensure that we are trying to make the process as smooth as it possibly can be, while at the same time ensuring that we're meeting the needs of the city by considering all of the aspects of the parks and the trails, and also the fees that are needed to make sure that we have the monies available for the services that have to be provided.
Questions for Ida? Okay, we'll move to item 12, commissioner comments. And if you have any?
No, none for me, Chairman. Thank you.
None for me either. Thank you.
None for me.
Tony?
None from me.
Gary?
None for me.
Well, I do have one. I serve on one of the regional boards that I serve on, which has representatives from 6 cities and the county. Someone asked me a question the last meeting while we were getting ready to start the public section, and I couldn't answer it. So I'm going to propose it to our staff. So I said, what if I wanted to understand, as I drive through your city and I see open land, how can I find out? And of course, I knew I could tell him if there's a project proposed on the site, it's in process. Our staff certainly could bring up, but he said, what if it's doesn't have a project on it? Where do I go? And I felt like I wanted to give him an answer. And I said, you know what? I'm going to ask it at our planning commission next week, the planning commission meeting. And so maybe you could enlighten me as to the best place to send them.
Well, it depends on what they're trying to do. If they're looking to bring a new business into the city, then they should be reaching out to the city manager or our economic development staff person, Aaron Fry, to determine what parcels
Let me
are
ask the
available to
question again
use.
because we're going the wrong way.
Okay.
So he's driving through the city and he sees a piece of property over here and a piece of property over here and a piece of property over there. And he wants to know the availability of that property. Is there a place he could go without talking to an individual, or does he have to make inquiry?
Your question is for sale, to see if it's for sale.
If it's available, yeah.
Yeah, so on the economic development page, there is actually a tool that shows all of our vacant land and either for sale, for lease, whatever it may be. So on that web page, there is an actual thing. You can type in an address or look at the map view and kind of select around to see what's available.
So could I ask a question? Is there land in the city that is not on that?
So I think I think there's a little confusion here. So I think when you look at that map, you're going to be finding the properties that the city owns
Yes.
that may be available. And then there's the whole Surplus Land Act issue that we have to go through, and it's a very complicated process. If he's looking for potentially privately owned properties,
Yes.
then no, that is not information that the city can give out. We cannot provide private property ownership information. That is something that there might be a process through the county's recorder that he could get information as to who owns that parcel, but it's not information that the city, under a Public Records Act request, would be able to provide because it's confidential
And
information.
of course, if it's listed for sale, that there are numerous public websites.
Yes,
If it's for sale, they could find that out.
Correct.
But
if they're interested in soliciting the owner absent it being up for sale currently, then
They would need to go through the county.
you've given me the answer, which is there really isn't there's no answer. He's going to have to he or she is going to have to make an inquiry somewhere to find out.
No.
I can settle this argument quick. I would just, every question I get today, I just tell people to go to ChatGPT.
Yep. Take care of it. Absolutely.
There's
They will
also,
answer that.
yeah,
It
there's
will.
also different apps out there that you can, that actually has like a map overlay of property owners.
And
Not
I-
not to cut in, I'm on the website right now and there is a web link that shows 831 Sterling Parkway, which that is definitely not city owned. To where it shows what's available for lease, what's vacant land, what is for sale. So there is a tool that's out there available. I don't know if it has the contact information or anything of that nature, but it does show kind of the vacant land.
What I'd like you to do is send that to me and I'll get him to him.
Absolutely.
This is the best we have.
Yep, I can do that for you.
Great. Okay. We're finished with commissioner comments, so meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.